here is one of the shawls that I am making. It's in American terms, it's a double crochet stitch, and this is the flower that I made on another tutorial that I've done. It isn't attached yet because I haven't actually finished the shawl. For this tutorial I'm going to use Carnival 8 ply, and I'm going to use a 4.5mm hook. It recommends to use a 4mm hook for this yarn, but I want my shawl to be more of an open stitch, so I'm using a bigger hook than recommended. To start our shawl we want to chain 5, and join with a slip stitch to the first chain to form a ring. You want to chain 5, this counts as our first treble, that's an American treble, and our chain 1. We want to work 3 trebles into the center ring. So we're wrapping our yarn twice, going into the loop, pulling up. We have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2. We have 3 on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2. We have 2 on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2. We need to make another one. Yarn over twice, into the loop, yarn over, pulling up a loop. We have 4 on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2, 3 on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2, 2 on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2. We need another one. Yarn over twice, into the loop, yarn over, pulling up a loop. We have 4 on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2, 3 on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2. We have 2 on our hook, yarn over, pulling through 2. So we now have our first treble and a chain 1, which is a chain 5. We have 3 trebles. We want to chain 2, and now we want to make 3 more trebles into our ring. So wrapping your yarn twice, into the loop, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pulling through 2, through 2, through 2. We need to make 2 more. Whoops. Making sure it's a treble, not a double. I've just made something in double crochet, so I'm probably going to be doing that a lot with this project until I get the hang of things. Okay, so we have our first one with our chain space, 3 with a chain 2, 3, and we want to chain 1, and then do 1 more treble, wrapping twice, don't forget, into the loop. So our first part should look like this. Chaining 5. Now this row will be repeated throughout. Chaining 5, that counts as our first treble and a chain 1 space. Turning our work, we want to work into this first gap, working 3 trebles into this space. And if you know how, making sure it's a treble, told you I'd do it again. So if you make granny squares, this is based on that sort of method. going into the gaps, putting in 3 lots of stitches into the gap, and chaining 1. We're up to the chain 2 space, which would be like a corner on a granny square. So going into this space, we want to put in another corner. So paying attention to what you're doing, of course, not like me, going into the space, doing 3 lots of trebles, I am having a bad time, aren't I? So, okay, so we've done our 3 trebles and we're chaining 2. I think it's lunchtime, that's what my problem is. 2 stitches, wrapping twice, and another 3 trebles into our chain 2 space. And we should have something that looks like this. It will start to take shape as you get further along. So with our chain space there, with our 3 and our chain 2 and our 3, and we're putting in another chain space. In between each group of 3, there's, on our straight part, there is 1 chain and 2 in the corner. So now we need to work into the next space, which is here. So we're working 3 trebles, and you'll know if you've done a double because it won't be the same height and it will look all funny. So we've done 3 trebles and a chain 1 and wrapping twice. Going into that same space, we want to work another treble. Now to keep all this straight, because this is going to be the straight edge of your shawl, so it's going to, you can imagine, look like that, obviously on a bigger scale. So that's the bottom of the shawl, and these are the sides that go around your shoulder. So as we go along, when we finish this part here, you just want to give it a little tug so that this part will stay straight. Okay, so now repeat that again. We want to chain 5, counts as our first treble and our chain 1 space, turning our work, working into that same space, that first space there. So wrapping twice, making our treble, doing our 3 lots of trebles, so we have our chain with a 5 chain and our 3 trebles and a chain space. Now we have, this is our corner, we have another gap, so now we have to work in there just like we do when we do a granny square. Each round we get more gaps in between our corners. So I guess if you've made a granny square before, that's going to help you a lot in making this, because it's slightly based on the same principles. So chain 1, we're up to our corner here, so we need to put in 3 trebles, oops a daisy, start that again.